Hi, I'm Therese and welcome to the Caffeinated Cast-Ons YouTube channel. You can find me on Instagram as Caffeinated Cast-Ons and here on YouTube as Caffeinated Cast-Ons. I am a North Texas based knitter. I've been knitting for almost 3 years now, and this is just my little space where I share my making, the projects I'm working on, and just take you along with me for the ride. So if you're on Ravelry and you have your project pages, just think of this as a video version of project pages. And so it's been a fun time. I'm so glad for those of you that come back each week. And to anyone new, if this is the first video you're watching, there's quite a few episodes that you can catch up on. So I hope you decide to go back and watch and stay here. It is, what's today's date? Friday. January. I don't have my watch on and my phone is recording. What's today? Is it the 20? I think it's the 26th, right? No, 25th. It'll be right here, whatever today's date is. Clearly it's been a long week. So yeah, I have my coffee. Obviously I need to be caffeinated. It's one of my favorite mugs, I think, that I own. It's thrifted. Isn't it beautiful? There was another one that had a blue butterfly instead. I totally regret not getting it so I could have like a little set. That's one of my favorite mugs. So I have my coffee that I've been working on this morning. I've only had to reheat it one time so far. So I will definitely work on finishing that today so I can figure out what today's date is. So if you are just joining in this year, well, not this year, January, I have 2 goals that I'm working towards right now. And that's no new cast-ons and clearing my needles. So get down on my whips. I started the year with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 whips. 2 of those, actually I guess 3 of those are like ongoing projects. I have a scrappy blanket that I'm working on, an Afghan that is part of an ongoing class, and then washcloths, which are kind of a year-long project I'm doing to see how many I can make each month. So I have finished 4 objects so far this month out of that 10. And one of those was a washcloth. So I only did 1 washcloth this month, just so I could focus on other projects that were on my needles. And another one that I marked as finished was a scrappy blanket that I'm working on. The blanket is nowhere near done, but I just finished adding in the color that I was on and put that on hold. So for like my mind, I marked it as done. So I didn't think that that was another project I needed to focus on. So right now I have 2, 4, hang on, I can't. 2, 4, 6, 7. So I have 7 objects on my needles. And then 3 of those are squares for the Afghan because you do it square by square. So technically it's kind of just the same object, but I'm just behind on where I should be on it. Yeah. But okay, so let's talk about just this past week. What have I done? I don't have any finished objects this week, and I am totally okay with that because I've made such great progress on the 2 objects that I did work on this week, which are 2 different pairs of socks that I have going. So let's talk about those. Okay, sock number 1 that I've been working on. It's so hard to like really show this on camera, but this is just a Suburban Stitcher tote bag that I got from Fiberfest this past year, 2023 Fiberfest. It was a freebie that you got with a certain dollar amount purchase, I think. But I have my 2 at a time socks in here, and I guess I can't really call them 2 at a time anymore because I separated them. So I was working them 2 at a time for the first time, and I got all the way through to the gusset decreases, and things got all kinds of turned around. I don't know how, and so I took them off the same needle, and now I'm working them independently. So from last week, this is the second sock. So this little Texas Progress Keeper is where I was last week. So I worked probably a little bit more than an inch on this one. So I'm just on the foot now. And I still got a little ways to go. I think I need to do like 65 rounds total for the foot. I'm not sure. I've probably done 20, maybe 30, so I might be halfway. And this is the other sock. My little spade, Ace of Spades from Mace of Skeins. I actually got this Progress Keeper from her at Fiberfest. She was so sweet. I got to meet her. Well, no, I take that back because I saw her at 2022 Fiberfest, but since then, like, we've become more just familiar from interacting online with each other, and she gave me this Progress Keeper. She was handing them out to anyone. You know, I could have been anybody, but it was just fun that I got it from her. Worked about an inch on this as well. I'm trying to work on them, like trade off how often I work on them. I find that method of working my socks really keeps me, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm making good progress. So, and it's not, I don't know, I guess it's still working 2 at a time, technically, just not all on the same needle. But I think going forward, I am going to work majority of my socks that way. I did that with socks that I worked on 9-inch circulars. I pretty much did cuff, cuff, leg, leg, heel. Like, I worked them concurrently. And so I really liked how that ended up going. So I think I'm just going to continue to do that with my socks rather than 1 at a time, which is what I'm doing for my other whip, which is my first pair of scrappy socks that I've ever done. I've always wanted to make a pair because I see Crazy Sock Lady make them all the time, and they always look so fun and amazing, just like all the scraps together. So I'm making my own first pair. So this bag, my friend Katrina made for me. It's got like a camping theme. It was in honor of my first summer sock camp a couple years ago. And I was in Colorado at, oh my gosh, why can I just not remember what I was gonna say? I was in Colorado. My husband's, there's a cabin that's been in his family for many, many years, and we were there. And so cabin, summer sock camp, it was perfect. Like, this is probably my favorite project bag. But anyways, so I have my scrappy socks in here, and I have done a lot since last week. So last week, it was time for me to do the heel on sock 1. I did the heel and finished the whole sock. Look at it. I love how this knit up so much. Whenever I first started knitting it, I was very unsure about the colors, how I laid them out. I just didn't know. I thought maybe I was gonna pull them out, but I just love it so much. So there are actually, I guess technically there are 4 colors in here. So the toe, heel, and cuff are one color. And then this speckled blue and purple is a color. And then this thicker stripe, this is actually 2 different colors, but they blend so well together. You can kind of see the difference. This one is more green and brown. This one is more kind of purpley bluey. But I love how they kind of form one bigger stripe and it's thicker, and like the skinnier stripe breaks it up. I love it. It's so good. So I finished this. So it's like half a finished object, I guess, if we want to get technical. And then yesterday, I started the second sock. Ooh. So I got through the toe, cast on, did the toe, and I think I am done with this first stripe. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah. So I'm done with the first stripe, so it's time for me to add my next color in. So I feel like I got a lot done yesterday for this. Oh, this is a tangled mess. So I got a lot done, and actually let me show you a couple of notes. I do have that beautiful hole right there. That'll kind of go away once I weave in all my ends. On the cuff, I went up a needle size, so I did a US 2 instead of just the US 1 that I used on the rest of the sock. Just because whenever I work toe up, my cuff tends to be a little tighter, so I went up a needle size. I think I did 15 rounds for the cuff. And to me, that was like thick enough. It's not like a shorty sock. I think that's 35 rounds on this leg. Yeah, 35 rounds and then 15 rounds for the cuff. So each of the colors that I worked was part of a 20-gram mini. So I just split those minis in half and divided them into Ziploc bags for sock 1 and sock 2. And I was just so, like, I didn't want to get to the point where I risked potentially running out of yarn. I just wasn't ready for that with this first pair of scrappy socks. So I do have some yarn left over from sock 1 being done. So that was the heel toe cuff, the speckled, and then these 2 yarns that kind of ran together. Actually, let's weigh, because I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see how much of each one is left over. So my little scale here. Here. Okay, so for the toe, heel toe cuff, it was about 10 grams, and I have 1.5, 2.5, 4.2, 104 grams. Interesting, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, that makes sense why I would have less of this one, because there are more of those stripes. It's used 4 times rather than the other 2 colors are only used 3. Okay, so that makes sense. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these scraps yet. I could throw them in another pair of scrappy socks and not care about like the stripes being even. I am contemplating starting a magic knot ball. I don't know. So altogether it is 12 grams. I could put it in my DK jelly blanket. I don't know. I'll just hold on to them until I fully decide what I want to do with them. So I feel like that's a decent amount left over. Yeah, it's still plenty. I feel like it's still plenty to do something with. So this is my sock 2 bag. Yeah. So let's get everything loaded back up in here. Those are the only 2 projects that I worked on this past week, and I think I'm just gonna keep focusing on them. I don't think I'm going to clear my needles well, I don't think I'm gonna clear my needles like I originally thought I could, because some of the other projects that I have are just more detailed, so I don't think I'm going to, but that is okay. I feel like I made great progress on getting a lot of stuff done or is close to being done. So for this next week, my goal is to get to the toes on the 2 at a time socks, or I guess the not 2 at a time socks, but on those socks, I want to get to the toes. And then I want to get to the heel on the scrappy socks. So gonna stick with those projects this upcoming week. And January ends next week. That's insane. Where has the month gone? I feel like it just started. Oh. Man, I just realized. Yeah, January ends next week. Whew. Then I gotta start planning for February. What is time? Okay. There are my okays again. So those are my goals for next week. Feeling good. So if I end the year, not end the year, whoa. If I end the month with 2, 4, 5 things on my needles, I'll feel pretty good, because I essentially got everything down by half. And again, I'm counting for my Afghan, I'm counting each individual square as an object because it's not done. Like, I'm behind. I'm not caught up on where I should be. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just gonna stick with the socks. Those have my focus right now. They're both just straight stockinette. So that's about like what my brain can handle right now. So we're just gonna stick with it. But thinking about how next week is the end of January, I think next week's episode is gonna be a recap of this past month, clearing my needles, plans for February, how I feel about the progress that I've made. Yeah, I think next week should be a good one. I still can't believe that January is over, about to be over. So that's it for knitting and projects. Let's talk about reading, watching, listening. So I did start a new book, and it wasn't one I was necessarily expecting to start. First of all, look at my cute book cover. It's Friends themed. Again, my friend Katrina made this. But I started reading The Body Keeps the Score, and I don't know, it's interesting for so many reasons. A few weeks back, I went and got a massage, and it was interesting because I was talking to the massage therapist, and she could tell I had been anxious. And she was just concerned. She's like, yeah, I can tell you're very anxious. Like, something about like your anxious pathway was very tight. And it reminded me, like, yeah, no duh, like, if you're like, your body holds on to so much. And so I've had this book for quite some time, and I've wanted to read it. But just kind of stirred some stuff up after I got the massage. And then this week was very crazy personally, and it's just been kind of all over the place. And so this is what I picked up. It's just what's calling to me right now. I can tell some of it is going to be hard to read because it's about this psychiatrist and just what he's learned about trauma. So it is a bit, I guess, of a heavier read, but I am excited to see what I learn. I'm about 30 pages in right now, and I've just been reading when I can, watching, still trying to catch up on Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I don't know how many more episodes we have. Maybe 4? Maybe 3? I don't know. And then True Detective Night Country, which is coming out right now, so we have to wait every week for the episode to come out. I honestly have no idea what's gonna happen in this season. Like, I don't know. It connects to some previous seasons of True Detective, and so I'm interested to see how they tie it in more, but I honestly have no idea how, I guess, like, the mystery is going to be solved in this one. So I'm very, very interested. And then I started watching How to Get Away with Murder on my lunch breaks again. I'm in the last season. I saw a spoiler because I started reading the little episode descriptions, plot descriptions ahead. I don't know why I did it, but I saw something pretty big that happens. But I'm still gonna finish it. I'm in the last season. I might as well. And that way it also disappears from my Netflix currently watching list. I know I can take it off, but I'm gonna finish it. And then listening. I am all caught up on Drama Queens. So now I'm kind of sad because I can't keep binge listening to it. I have to wait each week now. But it's another thing that I can cross off my list that I've finished. And then I'm still listening to my Daylist on Spotify. And it's funny because some of them are really good. Some of them are kind of random. And I'm because I listen to one song, it's oh, here's a whole playlist. It updates every few hours throughout the day. So I think depending on how often you listen, you're getting maybe 3 to 4 different playlists. I was getting sad because I'm oh, the playlist is about to update in an hour. I want to go through, find the songs I like and save them to a different playlist or add them to a playlist. But I figured out how to save the whole playlist as a playlist before it updates so I can keep it. So yeah, I felt silly that I didn't already know how to do that. But yeah, I figured it out, so it's great. And so now I can go back and listen to the ones that I really like. Let's wrap up this episode with 3 simple joys. So these are just 3 very simple things that have been bringing me joy this past week. And yeah, let's just get into them. Simple joy number 1, my son's smile. Specifically, whenever daycare sends me pictures of him throughout the day and he's smiling. They sent me one of him this week and I just started crying. Like, just to know that he's being taken care of, he's having a good time, and whenever he laughs and smiles at home with us, like, it's just pure joy. Like, there's no other way I can describe it. But his smile has been bringing me so much joy this week. Like I mentioned, it's been a hard week, just personally. So his smile is just the sweetest little thing. Simple joy number 2, reading in bed. So the past couple of days after everyone's gone for the day and before I have to start working, I've just been reading in bed, and it's nice. Rather than like scrolling on my phone or just turning on the TV or going back to bed, I like just crawling back into bed. I get my coffee and then have my book and then just read for a little bit, and it's very nice. And I started setting a timer for like at least 30 minutes so I can just read without having to worry of like, oh, is it time to start working yet, or whatever else it may be. I like just kind of setting that time for myself to just read. And then simple joy number 3 has been walking. It has been very cold in North Texas, and then this past week it did rain quite a bit, so it's been very wet. So I haven't been able to go out too often, and that is hard, especially whenever you're by yourself all day and you work from home. So I'll just be glued to my computer the whole day and not like step out at all. And it's been harder because it's been gloomier. So it's been like a little, just gloomy. But I was able to do that a couple times this week, and I'm really glad. It's starting to warm up a bit, and so I hope to incorporate that more. And then I do have an honorable mention for simple joy, and that is the Cape Cod kettle cooked chips. Just the plain sea salt flavor. I had some yesterday. I haven't eaten those in a long time. Like, I love chips. And I picked some up at the grocery store yesterday and had them with my lunch. Oh, and they're just so good. I love a kettle cooked chip. So that's an honorable mention, like a runner-up in my simple joys. All right, that's all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining this episode, and I hope to see you next week, where we're gonna recap January and talk about how we did and what my plans are. And I think we're just gonna take it month by month. I really liked having a focus of the month, so I don't know if February is going to be more progress on clearing my needles or just how I want to approach projects differently, but I'm very excited. So until next time, friends, stay caffeinated.